Driver in Humboldt crash wasn't distracted at time of collision with bus, document says. Jaskirat Singh Sidhu pleads guilty in Humboldt Broncos bus crash that killed 16. The semi-trailer truck involved in the Humboldt Broncos team bus crash was traveling at nearly 100 km/h at the moment of impact, and the semi's driver isn't thought to have been distracted, according to a document obtained by CBC News. The document has not yet been presented to the court. No tire skid marks due to braking were left by the semi-tractor unit, reads a statement of facts agreed to by the Crown and defense in the court case of semi-driver Jaskirat Singh Sidhu. It says Sidhu simply failed to recognize that his vehicle was approaching an intersection and did not heed the stop sign. Quote, in Melfort, Saskatchewan, Provincial Court Tuesday morning, Sidhu pleaded guilty to 16 counts of dangerous driving causing death and 13 counts of dangerous driving causing bodily harm. On April 6, 2018, the truck Sidhu was driving collided with the Humboldt Broncos tour bus while the team was traveling to a playoff game in Nipawin, Saskatchewan. 16 people died and 13 were injured in the crash. CBC-MENU News driver in Humboldt crash wasn't distracted at time of collision with bus, document says. Driver in Humboldt crash wasn't distracted at time of collision with bus, document says. Facebook Twitter Jaskirat Singh Sidhu pleads guilty in Humboldt Broncos bus crash that killed 16. Jason Warwick CBC News posted, January 8, 2019 9:36 a.m. Central Time, last updated, 11 minutes ago. Jaskirat Singh Sidhu has pleaded guilty to 16 counts of dangerous driving causing death and 13 counts of dangerous driving causing bodily harm. The Canadian Press, the semi-trailer truck involved in the Humboldt Broncos team bus crash was traveling at nearly 100 km/h at the moment of impact, and the semi's driver isn't thought to have been distracted, according to a document obtained by CBC News. The document has not yet been presented to the court. No tire skid marks due to braking were left by the semi-tractor unit, reads a statement of facts agreed to by the Crown and defense in the court case of semi-driver Jaskirat Singh Sidhu. It says Sidhu simply failed to recognize that his vehicle was approaching an intersection and did not heed the stop sign. Quote, in Melfort, Saskatchewan, Provincial Court Tuesday morning, Sidhu pleaded guilty to 16 counts of dangerous driving causing death and 13 counts of dangerous driving causing bodily harm. On April 6, 2018, the truck Sidhu was driving collided with the Humboldt Broncos tour bus while the team was traveling to a playoff game in Nipawin, Saskatchewan. 16 people died and 13 were injured in the crash. Stop sign 1.2 meters wide. CBC News obtained the 5-page statement, based largely on the RCMP, Forensic Collision Reconstruction Report, following the brief but emotional hearing. It states Sidhu drove into the intersection at a speed of 86 to 96 km/h. This was despite a 1.2 meter wide, 4 feet, stop sign with a red flashing light on top, as well as clearly marked highway signs warning of an intersection from approximately 400 meters, 300 meters, 200 meters and 100 meters away. As Sidhu approached the intersection on Highway 335, the driver of the Broncos bus traveling down the larger Highway 35 recognized the danger, according to the statement. The bus driver applied the brakes and skidded for 24 meters before the collision, it stated. The driver of the bus did not contribute to the collision, it stated. The actions of Mr. Sidhu while operating the semi-tractor unit caused the collision. The bus T-boned the semi, sending it into the ditch. Alcohol, drugs, cell phone not factors. According to the statement, there were no environmental factors causing the crash such as sun glare or weather conditions. The nearby trees did not obstruct the view and were inconsequential, it stated. The document notes alcohol and drugs were not a factor. Sidhu was also not distracted by cell phone use. Outside the court, Sidhu's lawyer read a prepared statement, saying his client feels terrible and is very sorry. His position to me was, I just want to plead guilty, said lawyer Mark Brayford. Mr. Sidhu advised me, I don't want to make things any worse. Sentencing begins Jan. 28. The lawyer went on, stating that Sidhu is devastated by the grief he's caused the families. He's overwhelmed by the expressions of sympathy and kindness that some of the families and players have expressed to him, in spite of the fact that the grief is entirely his fault. Judge Ines Cardinal said sentencing is scheduled to begin January 28 in Melfort and will likely take 3 to 5 days to complete, due to the number of victim impact statements expected to be entered. Security screenings will be in place for everyone entering the building. Tom Strashitsky, bus crash survivor Ryan Strashitsky's father, was relieved the case won't go to trial. He didn't set out that day to do this, Strashitsky said. His son Ryan was paralyzed from the chest down in the crash. By him pleading guilty to save us all from the trial shows a lot of remorse, because he also has to live with this for the rest of his life too. Scott Thomas, father of crash victim and Humboldt Bronco player Evan Thomas, was relieved Sidhu pleaded guilty. It means a lot, he said. To hear him use his own words to plead guilty was powerful. Thomas has been present for many of Sidhu's court dates. On Tuesday, Thomas sat close to him in the courtroom. I felt him, no question, he said. To be that close, my heart rate went up for sure. Thomas said he wasn't concerned about the length of Sidhu's sentence. Heart-wrenching. If he spends 10 years, that time is irrelevant. He was guilty, and he acknowledged that. Thomas would also like to see a permanent memorial set up at the crash site. Since the collision, many people have laid wreaths and other memorials at the site. Whatever they build there will be impressive and heart-wrenching, he said. I think it's going to be a place where people stop for eternity, because it's hallowed ground. 16 people were wiped off the face of the earth. In a statement, the Humboldt Broncos hockey team said it was relieved Sidhu pleaded guilty and there would be no trial. I commend Mr. Sidhu for taking responsibility for his actions and sparing the survivors and the families the anguish and turmoil of rehashing this tragedy in court, said team president Jamie Brockman. Rumble strips. The maximum punishment for the crimes is 14 years on each count of dangerous driving causing death and 10 years for each count of dangerous driving causing injury. The crash occurred at the intersection of two busy highways. The Saskatchewan government has since pledged to install rumble strips, lights, signs and road markers in the area. The accident made international headlines, and support for the junior hockey team poured in from around the world. A GoFundMe campaign raised $15 million that was eventually divided between victims and the families. Sukhminder Singh, owner and director of Adesh Deol Trucking Limited and Sidhu's employer at the time of the crash, faces 8 counts of failing to comply with various safety and lot-keeping regulations. Sidhu, who was not hurt, was released on $1,000 bail in July under conditions that he not drive and that he surrender his passport.